100k ACG passed with one trade on the phase 2 and like 4 or 5 trades on the phase 1. I was in drawdown for so long, I just had to reevaluate a little bit. One trade made 12% to pass the phase 1. You may be wondering, did bro risk the whole account on, on one trade? I know I didn't. It was 1.5% risk, it was calculated risk, and I could accept that if I lost, I wouldn't mind losing that. At the end of the day, it's what you're comfortable losing with. Every influencer has their own strategy. They're like, okay, risk this much, risk this much. But I'm not going to ever tell anyone how to risk because it's your capital. And at the end of the day, it's you versus you. You protect your own capital and you don't live with regrets. And if I'm living with regrets because I took another guy's ideas saying, oh yeah, I'm going to risk this much, then what's the point? What is the point? And the one trade I was talking about that passed me the account was like a 1 to 6, 1 to 7 RR. We made 12% in the end because I scaled in. And it was so nice because it was one of those ideas where you're swinging the whole weekly bias, but then you manage to get an intraday position inside of that weekly bias and you manage to capitalize. That is how you trade, and that's how you should be trading. Well, if you're trying to be like me. So starting off, we're in replay mode. And I know you're going to think, oh, this guy's just faking it. So real quick, here's the execution proof. I'll show it later, but the same date, same time and everything. Like, I'm not a faker, I'm just, just easier for me to not to do that. Okay, so for my top-down analysis, I could see that we had, on the daily time frame, we had a daily fair value gap. And for me, it's a quite strong area of support, unless it's obviously penetrated through. So you could see it as resistance. And then on the 4 hour, we weren't really creating many fair value gaps and displacing. So we had this 4 hour here, and we ended up displacing upwards, but we didn't end up taking out this high until there. So that was quite nice. And then we tapped into this order block here, and we failed to displace up high and take out this high. So I knew it would come down lower. But as you can see, we basically engineered all of this trend line, and then we also tapped into the daily FEG and having an inverse H4 FEG. But this was quite a while before my entry. And there were some intraday positions I took before this, but they were on my other accounts that passed my 50Ks and my other lives. And then on the H1, you can see we made this H1 fair value gap as well. And I'm just going to let price play a little bit just to see where we're working with. And as you can see, we're just accumulating a little bit. And this is because we had some, I think, some news events that day. And now if you drop down onto the 15-minute time frame, which is where I take all my entries, because I just find it's a lot easier to find those really good entries. And we already know that we've got a bullish bias because we tapped into the daily, we re-tapped into the daily, and we swept all of these lows here, displaced upwards, swept this high, we came down lower, and according to market structure, we are still creating these higher highs. We created this low here, but swept basically because we displaced upwards. For me, when I look for a sweep, I don't just look for a candle close below and just enter. I have to see if it's actually a liquidity run or if we're actually just going to displace upwards. So you can see here, this is a sweep. We took out this low and we closed below the low on the 15-minute. But on the H1, did we? Yes, we did as well. So you would be thinking, oh, we're going to go lower. But due to my higher time frame bias of respecting these types of higher time frame arrays, daily, H4, we had a H1 as respected too, then I'm more inclined to take a position for a buy. And we swept out these two relative equal lows too, and we displaced a little bit upwards, but we failed to break this high. So I knew we could look for an entry later on. And because I'm a swing trader or an intra-swing like trader, I was already in the position around here on my other accounts. But this account, it needed a lot of like help to get out of drawdown and pass it. So I'm just gonna let price play a little bit. And this is our entry. It's quite a solid entry. You may be wondering, oh, you know, if you didn't see the execution, you might be thinking this guy is just like just talking a big game. However, I kind of assumed price wouldn't break this low because I was thinking it's protected. The reason for this protected low was we swept out all these lower time frame, low resistance liquidity points, and we displaced upwards. And then we also had our breaker structure right here. I don't tend to use breaker structure for my entries, but it's just a solid confirmation for anyone who's struggling with market structure. With the 50-minute breaker structure, we retraced into this zone here. We had a 15-minute order block here too, and it was just like a solid zone for me to enter from. I didn't want to keep my stop loss too tight because if it's the wicks, spreads might have taken you out. Spreads probably would have taken you out. So I like keeping it normally at the wicks lows, and I kept it a little bit more because new spreads they open up and everything. And then as you can see, we just let price play out a little bit. It just kept on displacing upwards and upwards and upwards, and it took out our final TP up at here, which was 8664. And as you can see on the execution, 8664. So a solid trade. The entry was basically a bottom tick. We had the top kind of a top tick too, and it's a very good trade. And I really enjoy trading EU sometimes because the price action is very similar to DXY. So if I went onto DXY, it would show the exact same type of confirmations, and it's a very simple entry model. This was my entry model back in April. I tweaked some things because it helped me a little bit more with my entries and my confirmations. I don't go for high RR normally, but because it was a swing trade target, I wanted to, be a bit smarter. And it's a very good trade, I can't lie. And I enjoyed trading it because a lot of the time we take trades and it's just the same. But you can have some trades that are like big winners for you. It's best to not do that, keep it consistent. But sometimes, obviously, you can have the big winners. So we had a break even day here, we had a 3% gain, and we had a 12% gain here. So it was a green week for me during the first week of April, and that passed my phase one. And as you can see, this trade also got me a nice 2% payout on my Titan account. So it was just like a great type of trade to be in because you can pass eval and you can pass alive without having too much risk exposure, because the trade that passed CG 100k phase one was different to the trade that I took. It was different to the trade I took on the Titan, but it was the same idea. So you can have different entries, but you can have the same idea. And that one was like a swing trade, so it was a lot easier for me to manage my emotions. This trade was a little bit riskier, but it was basically a scale in with lower time frame confirmations. And you saw all the confirmations I had. It wasn't like I was trading blind. It was nice to see though, because it's nice to be affirmed with your belief that the trade's going to go up. And if you're stopped out, you can always just reevaluate. You're going to have lower win rate if you're going for higher RR. I never really go for higher RR. It was only just because, my swing trade target. And sometimes price just plays out in your favor. We ended up hitting TP at 5 o'clock. So a 4-hour trade, it's nothing sweeter than that. It's 6 hours and 4 hours where it is perfect. And with trading, you don't have to always worry about. Wait, let's make me a bit bigger because. With trading, you don't have to worry about. Okay, I'm in a trade. I'm gonna get stopped out. Oh no, should I enter here? You gotta remove all these doubts because at the end of the day, it's just hurting you. And how can I just say all of these things when I just became profitable back in March? I've only been trading for under a year, and I've been profitable for half that time. So it's been quite a great journey for me, as you would think. However, I've had a lot of losses. What I've done is I've incurred so many losses in a short period of time so I could kind of accelerate my learning curve. You're always going to have those types of people that take it very slow, and it's not a bad approach. But I was so desperate to get out of my job, to get out of my situation, that I kind of had to just take a look at myself and decide, do I want to be here forever or do I want to move on with my life? I'm going to have to take some more risks. And it's not like no risk, no Rari, no risk, no Lamborghini. It's more like no risk. I'm going to be clocking in at 5 a.m. every single day. If you don't lock in, you're going to clock in. And I kind of understood that from a young age. And during this trading journey, it's been quite a roller coaster of emotions. I've taken so many hits to my accounts. I've been like one trader from passing, one trader from blowing each account. And it's like, do I want to pass the account? It's like sometimes when you're trading, it's like you're trading just to trade. You're trading for that dopamine. Are you trading to pass that account? Or are you just trading for that feeling of, I don't know, that dopamine hit is just not worth it. You're meant to be feeling every single trade as it is a normal trade. I took a loss, I took a win, I took a loss, I took a win, I took two wins, I took two losses. Every single thing is probabilities. And once you've got enough data to back that up, there is nothing that you can do or say that will tell anyone otherwise, because you are profitable in your mind and you're profitable on paper, you're profitable in your account. That's all that matters. So you need to stop overcomplicating all these kind of smaller, insignificant details, because it's going to help you accelerate your growth a lot faster. And this is coming from someone who actually did it in a short amount of time. I've proven everything. I've shown my executions. I've shown payouts. I've shown certificates. There's nothing more I can show. A track record, but it's still a bit early for that one. Yeah, but yeah. Um, all I can say is, even if you are doing your best, it's not always about how hard you're working or how fast you're doing it and stuff. It's also how much effort you're putting in behind the scenes and how well you're sculpturing your life around your goals. And even when I was working, I still had the same thing on my mind, to put my money towards more evals, to build more capital, and to get out of that place that I was in. And when that ended up happening, it was a great feeling. But I didn't ever resent anyone for it. I didn't resent myself for it. I didn't have any regrets, because I don't like living with regrets. I didn't regret anything I did up to that point, regret anything after that point, because you have to learn. And the best way to learn is to take losses, is to work a job, is to lose and lose and lose and lose. Think there's nothing that's going to save you. You're going to change strategy. You're going to hop from one to another to another to another mentor. And you're going to realize what I was doing in the start was actually the perfect thing for me. So you can't just, you got to trade like you want it, but you don't have to be always chasing. As a person, we don't chase, we attract. The law of attraction works quite well in these situations. I'm not trying to chase the trade. I'm not trying to chase the setup. You saw my entry. You saw how good that trade was. But what's it because I was chasing it? No. I just entered and let it be. It might have gone into drawdown. It might have hit stop loss. It might have hit TP. But I entered because I had conviction that it was going to hit TP. And if it didn't hit TP, well, is my conviction gone? No. A minor setback, a major comeback. That's what we like to say.